All right, we're back on Sports Talk, Thursday night edition. Big Thursday here in the Palmetto State. Big baseball series beginning tomorrow with the Super Regionals. Saturday as well, Clemson and Florida. They don't play until Saturday. We'll be up there tomorrow for the press conferences, mingling with the coaches and players, the practices. Sports Talk will be live tomorrow night from the Clemson press box. Looking forward to being up there for that and there for the weekend of baseball.
Club DKS. You're going to have a good time.
DKS. Oh, yeah, Club DKS. Yeah, you weren't real thrilled by the music that they were playing. The amount of music they were playing.
Either.
Well, let's see if they calm it down or they keep it hopping there at DKS. We welcome in to Sports Talk from Gators Online, senior writer covering, of course, the Gators. We appreciate him being with us tonight, Nick Della Torre, to tell us more about the Florida side of things going into the regional. The Super Regional. Nick, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing well. My first time in Clemson, South Carolina. Beautiful city here.
You're already there.
Yeah. We drove up and enjoying. Well, we booked and didn't know if it would be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday series. Yeah. So just a day to travel and explore.
Well, you got to go to the SO Club, of course, right there off of campus, right behind Little John. Have you been to the SO Club? You got to go to the SO Club.
Not yet. I'm taking all recommendations, though.
Oh, yeah. That's a standard.
Groucho's Deli up in Clemson.
Okay, that's fine. No. And then, if you want to venture out of town just a little bit, but another place, and if you go at the right time, you might see Danny Ford, Max Drive-In, out on the road, Pendleton Road. I'm not exactly sure what the highway is. Max Drive-In, that's another staple. It's outside of Clemson.
That's quintessential Clemson.
Yep. And again, no telling who might drop in. So check those two places out amongst all the other places there. But thank you for being with us. And give us the Florida feel coming into this Super Regional after what the Gators did last weekend out at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, it's been a frustrating season for Florida. I made a note when Florida lost Game 2 of the regional in Stillwater that they hadn't won 3 games in a row since games 2 through 6 of the season. And, of course, we're 60 games in now, so it's been a while. So I think Florida as a team, after having some injuries and going through their struggles, is kind of just taking a we have nothing to lose mentality, and it looks like they're having fun playing baseball. I think some fans were checking out about a month ago when Florida looked to be a bubble team, and we were wondering if they would even make the NCAA tournament. But they're certainly playing some hot baseball right now, and they've found some answers in the bullpen and on the mound.
Is that the biggest change with them? The last 2 games there at Oklahoma State, they gave up 2 runs in each of those games, so the pitching outstanding. Is that one of the big differences in what they are today versus where they were maybe a month ago?
Yeah, I mean, it was never going to be easy replacing Brandon Sproat and Hurston Waldrep from the team last year. In Florida, more so than I've ever seen, I've been covering them since 2013, has messed with the weekend rotation and changed the closer role and changed roles in the bullpen all season long. I think it took some freshmen kind of figuring it out and having the light flip on for them. But they've also had some injuries, and it has really shortened the bullpen. So I think it's been important for Florida's starters to go deep into games because they don't really have a ton of arms in the bullpen that they feel good about and trust. But those last 2 games in Stillwater, I think when you lose Game 2 of a regional, you kind of have to have some hero performances. And Brandon Neely striking out 11 over 5 in the third. And then Fisher Jamison, who's a junior but only had 21 appearances in his first 2 seasons out of the bullpen, coming in on Monday and retiring all 10 batters he faced. Those are the kind of hero performances you need to be able to come out of a regional that you lose Game 2 of.
Why do you think they're going with Liam Peterson as their pitcher on Saturday against Clemson? What do you think the thinking was going into that? Or is this sort of their normal rotation right now? Is this just the flow of their rotation?
Like I said, I've been covering Florida since 2013, and this will be Florida's 3rd different starter on a Friday or an opening series and that's the most since the first year I covered Florida, which was a decade ago. So there hasn't been an answer on Friday night, and I'll probably show my age, but I'd say the weekend rotation has been like a rotisserie chicken at Boston Market. It has been changing all year and moving and rotating. But down the stretch, Liam Peterson is a kid who I didn't think would get to campus. I think he just wanted to come to college and was going to bet on himself and try to be a first-round pick in a couple of years. He has that kind of talent. Early on, it was not working. And I think when you throw 95 in high school, you can kind of just do that, throw it down the middle and blow it by guys. When you get to this level, especially in the SEC, playing high-level D1 baseball, 95 is just another pitch to these guys. If you're not going to locate it, it's going to go a long way. So he was giving up a lot of home runs, giving up a lot of runs, was taken out of his weekend starter role. But down the stretch, he's pitched to just above a 2.0 ERA over his last 6 outings. So he's been Florida's best pitcher. Jack Caglione gets the headlines, and he deserves a lot of them. But Liam Peterson has been Florida's best and most consistent pitcher down the stretch.
How will they want to use Caglione as a pitcher, out of the pen or as a starter, maybe game 2? Though I noticed that it's, TBA for game 2, and then, if there's a game 3, TBA. How will they try to use him?
He'll start game 2. He's been Florida's Sunday starter, and really I think they probably wanted to move him to Friday when they had some struggles early on in the season, in the middle part of the season. But to Jack's credit, he's really turned himself into an above-average to very good defensive first baseman. He's Florida's best first baseman. And I think starting a game is so taxing that Florida said, well, we can pitch him on Sunday, let him DH in our midweek game, and that would be the best way. Because they felt like if they pitched him on Friday, he would have to DH Saturday, and then you would go 2 games with somebody who is a lesser defender at first base. So once you get to this point of the season, though, you can't be counting for game 3. You have to make sure you win game 1 and game 2 before you start playing on game 3. So Jack will start on the mound Sunday night,
all right,
or Sunday afternoon.
Oh, boy. That's going to be fun. Nick De La Torre with us here tonight, senior writer for Gators Online and also on 3 Sports. Nick, as you're sort of entrenched in Florida, you know exactly what Jack's going to bring to the mound. I don't know how much you've been able to delve into Aiden Kanak, who's going to oppose him on Saturday. Kanak has turned out to be Clemson's best pitcher, ERA below 3. Do you know much about him? And if so, how will that pitching matchup sort of dictate, do you think, how that game will turn out?
Yeah, when I start to look at Clemson and Florida, it almost to me looks like they're kind of similar. Maybe some questions about how deep the pitching staffs are. Both teams can hit. And I joked earlier today that we might end up with a couple of games with Big Ten football scores because I think Clemson can really hit and score, and I've seen Florida. Florida, in my mind, is as susceptible to giving up a 7-run inning as they are to scoring 7 runs in an inning. But, yeah, Aiden has been fantastic, and I wondered if Clemson expected him to be this good. Obviously very talented, but you never know when things click for freshmen. It'll be interesting. Florida's faced a lot of really talented pitchers. Hagen Smith, who's a Golden Spikes finalist, they had a little bit of success against him early. So it will be a challenge, and I'm excited to see him. I'm a baseball fan before anything else, so I'm excited to see Aiden throw.
You talked earlier about the fans, the Gator fans, because of what they anticipate that program being and having played in the national championship last year and the season that they had had throughout the regular season, sort of checking out a month prior to the end of the year. What camp were you in? Did you anticipate that Florida was going to get a bid into the NCAA tournament when they were knocked out of the play-in round of the SEC tournament, or did you think they were done?
I thought they were fine because the strength of schedule was 1, the RPI was top 30. And then it was just a question of, well, does the committee let 11 teams in? Because all of the other 11 and 13 and 17 SEC teams did well in Hoover. And it was like, all right, well, Florida has clearly dropped to the bottom of that 13 and 17 5-team mix. And they would be, in my mind at the time, the 11th SEC team. And the SEC ends up getting 11 in, and I was joking with one of Florida's coaches that, if you guys get hot, you have a chance because we've already gotten hot. So they're definitely playing confidently. And it's certainly new for them to have that kind of confidence just with the up and down nature of this season. Like I said, they hadn't won 3 games in a row since late February.
Nick, how much is Kevin O'Sullivan maybe downplaying coming back to Clemson where he had success as an assistant coach? And I was looking at it, it's hard to believe. This will be the first time Florida and Clemson have played baseball since 1983. Yeah. You would think those programs would have just by accident backed into one another. So, I mean, how big a deal do you think this is for Sully coming back to Clemson this weekend?
I don't know. I don't know that it is. I asked him, and he said he hadn't even been back to Clemson since he left. I sent him an old picture. It looked like he was throwing BP, and I said, "Yeah, you look young. You look good here, Coach." Which he thought was funny. And I saw a place near campus called Sully's Steamers. So now I question if he was lying to me, and maybe he has a business here in Clemson. It has to be a cool moment because it's been 17 years. He's obviously found some great success, but he was so close with Coach Leggett, and obviously Coach Bakich and Coach Corbin, and what a coaching staff that Clemson had. So I think it will be cool for him to come back and see it. But, yeah, I think this year has been tough for him. I typically ask the first question at press conferences, and Florida had, 3 ways that they would lose games, and I would kind of like ask him, hey, and he would throw his hands up. Like, I don't know what to do. I've yelled at him. I've coddled him. We've changed the lineup. We've changed the rotation. I don't know. So I think right now he's kind of just enjoying it. Like the team that he watched play really well in the fall, then struggle in the spring, has started to figure it out. So I think he's enjoying it and kind of along for the ride right now. And it will be interesting. Florida last year lost to a Big 12 team in their own regional and then played a team from South Carolina in a super regional. So there's some similarities this year as to last year. So I think there's a bunch of stuff going on. But, yeah, I'm sure once he gets time to look back on it, he will enjoy having come back here and to see the campus and see his former program.
Yeah, and you know that whenever time there's an opening in these parts, Sully's name comes up. Any chatter down in Gainesville this week about the South Carolina job and him? Anybody have any inkling of a belief that he might entertain something like that or feel like he's still locked in solid with the Gators?
He just signed an extension in December through 2033. The average per year salary is $1.8 million. I think
I'd say he's safe there.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think Coach Kingston is making $700,000. So if South Carolina wants to pony up and pay more than $1.8 a year, maybe. But he's got his family in Gainesville. His kids are in middle school. One of them close to entering high school, and I think he's very content in Gainesville. He told me when we broke the news about his contract that in his mind this would be, his last contract, and he'd probably retire after it.
Yeah. Well, look, they've given him a new stadium, and he's got it still rolling down there and got a chance to get back to Omaha again if they can handle their business this weekend. Nick, we thank you very much. See you at Clemson tomorrow. Don't get arrested there by the Clemson police overnight. They're they're finicky people there. Be careful.
And Nick, before you go, since you were asking about food places, you brought up one I was told about. I didn't eat there this past weekend. That Sully Steamers place actually is a sandwich shop that uses, instead of bread, they do bagels for the bread portion of the sandwich, and they steam the bagels so they're a little bit softer. Evidently, it's a really good place to eat, so I want to check that one out too.
Well, I will tell Kevin O'Sullivan you like his establishment.
Pass that along to Coach.
And I'll try it out myself. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, and I appreciate all your recommendations.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Nick Delatorre from Gators Online covering the Gators. He's already in Clemson. Gator fans, will there be any Gator chomping going on there? Hard to believe that O'Sullivan's never faced the Tigers before.
I was stunned it had been that long.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think those two teams in the tournament would have run into one another, but evidently not.
It is kind of weird, too, because last year it was the Gamecocks in the Super Regional against the Gators. This year it's the Tigers in the Super Regional against the Gators. Now, Florida was loaded with pitching last year.
Yeah, they were
loaded
really
with
good.
pitching. I mean, So maybe not as good. Maybe Clemson can take advantage of that and, of course, take advantage of being at home, something South Carolina did not have last year against the Gators.